Welcome to Why Don't We Dress for Dinner Anymore with our host, Theodora Brockman, content creator extraordinaire,
and Melissa Pierce, entrepreneur and documentarian. Today we have our spectacular photographer, Bella Abel, as our guest. Welcome, Bella. I just want to do a brief introduction on Bella so we all have a little bit of background information on her before we start our conversation. Bella is an accomplished Polish-American photographer and former Ford model who has been a significant presence in the fashion industry and beauty industry for over a decade. Bella is the founder of Belamatrix, a premier visual productions company specializing in fashion, portraiture, personal branding, and has been working with renowned brands including L'Oréal and Ulta Beauty. Bella has a master's degree in marketing, which has helped her blend her artistic flair with her strategic business insight. So again, welcome, Bella.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, we're really interested in having you. And since you were a former Ford model, of course, the first question that comes to mind is, because you have a lot of experience, I think you told me 10 years of experience in fashion modeling in New York, which is the ultimate modeling hub. What would you say that you learned from modeling per se that has really helped you behind the camera to make the wonderful pictures that you make now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for having experience over a decade in the fashion industry, it just gave me a deeper insight of the whole arena, especially utilizing, my experience behind the lens. It gave me a completely different perspective now working with my clients.
Yeah.
And having them in front of my lens, I can connect with them, having deeper connection. I can guide them.
Yeah, let me ask. So when you were modeling, did you have like certain photographers that you felt more comfortable working with than others? And would you say that maybe the photographers that you felt comfortable with as a model, you maybe emulated a little bit of their style to try to help incorporate that? Because I know it's important. Anybody who's not in front of the camera on a regular basis, it's just an uncomfortable feeling. It's not a natural feeling. So no matter how, natural or pretty of a smile you have or how beautiful you are or whatever, you can look terrible in pictures if you're not comfortable and relaxed in front of the camera. So that being said, and what were some of the takeaways that you had with the photographers that made you feel comfortable and your best in front of the camera? What were some of the takeaways that you took from that?
I think a lot of photographers don't understand that having a subject in front of them, it's a partnership.
Yeah.
You need to have communication throughout the whole process, right? A lot of photographers are very nerdy. They're thinking of, the lighting side,
very
technical and logical, which I completely can relate to now as a photographer, which is so important, but you still need that personal connection with your subject. You need to warm them up. You need to talk to them, right? They need to show the true nature of their beauty. And it's hard. It's a vulnerable space, first of all, being in front of a camera.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a model, starting model, or just a regular client, right? It's a very, very vulnerable place to be because you feel stripped down, almost naked.
Yeah.
You talk about connecting with the subjects, and something that we had heard from someone else, I think it was Ray, was that really what makes a great photo shoot is that it is a collaboration between the stylist, the photographer, and the subject. And the subject usually doesn't think about themselves as part of anything but the scenery. But you're telling me that the connection is almost absolutely necessary to make something work. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. It's dramatically important to have that deeper connection with your subject. And even if you're meeting the photographer the first day, right? Before the shoot, I think it's important to do like a warm-up. Give them, see, photography, it's like sports. Okay. Or modeling is like a sport or acting, right? It's just you're acting without any speaking roles.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to warm up your body so it flows natural. So you're not going to be stiff,
Right.
because whatever we think about, it reflects on our exterior.
Yeah.
Our eyes, right, are going to be more dense, more intense looking. Your lips are going to be more pouty because you're more inside of your head instead of just experiencing the moment and being as a flow. So again, I'm thinking, and I always tell, my clients and my models, think of this as a dance that we're connecting. Just stop being so much in your head. Just let it flow.
Mm-hmm.
Or imagine that you're not in front of me right now. Think about a different moment that makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to portray.
That's going to come out.
It's going to come out. Exactly. So I always tell them, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Close your eyes, reset.
Yeah.
It's so important for people who are tense, right?
Yeah.
To have that moment of control, because they're the one who are in control, not me.
Right, exactly. They're the ones controlling their facial expressions, etc. And I know just from my own experiences working as a content creator, that some of my best reels come from when I put something on that I feel really good in. It will put me almost in a mood where I am acting. Like if I feel especially glamorous in something, I notice that my movements become softer and more glamorous. If I feel a little awkward in whatever I'm wearing, I can be very stiff, etc. Do you find that models in general kind of go with the flow of what they're wearing? Or would you say that it's just posing techniques? Because there's another photographer that I follow, and I think she does great work, but she wrote a whole book on just posing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, is modeling really just learning certain contortions of the body or angles of the body that look good? Or is it actually going with the flow of the outfit that you're representing? Which would you say it tends to lean more towards?
I think it's both 50-50.
You think so?
You cannot let the outfit wear you. You have to wear the outfit, right?
Okay.
So it's like you have to blend in. Of course, if the outfit is not comfortable, it's going to show up on the images.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to suck it up, right?
You have this corset on and you're like, it's so sexy. And you're like being pitched in.
But it's important to feel comfortable in what you're wearing as well. Because again, your movement is going to be more flowy. You're going to feel more excited about the imagery and having the experiences. Again, as you said, if you wear something that makes you feel confident, beautiful, it comes out. It comes out.
It just shows.
That's very different than the kind of the idea that models are just, walking clothes hangers.
Right. Well, they're just a mannequin.
Wait, there are people inside the clothes that are wearing the.
They have feelings.
Yeah, they have feelings. But it's very different than thinking, they're just there to show off the clothes. You really have to be able to show the clothes. You're saying you have to inhabit them, basically.
Yeah.
Very true. However, we cannot forget that it is a job.
Yeah.
So you got to do what you got to do. You have to wear the 6-inch heels and,
in the freezing cold and you're wearing a bikini or something. I've seen that.
Exactly. So again, it's all about the mindset.
Yeah.
You have to go back to the place that gives you joy. Or if you're, again, standing in the cold, think about a warm moment.
Right.
It's all about mind over matter.
So it is psychology.
It is.
Think about it. It's the psychology of putting yourself in whatever mood you're supposed to be portraying.
100%.
And that brings me to why I was first drawn to your Instagram page, because Bella does just gorgeous photography. And the thing that I noticed about her photography is it tends to be very clean in the background. She doesn't have a lot of props and things. It's mainly focusing right on the subject. So that brings me, and it's not to say that I don't like photography that may have a lot of fun props and things like that, but I just thought her aesthetic was so consistent. I could see, a very defined style in her photography. So that brings me to the question, does your own personal fashion style, your own personal fashion aesthetic, does that inform the way that you set up those shots? Or does it have nothing to do with it? It's just two separate functions.
Again, it depends on the project. If we're shooting a campaign for a brand, we're gonna follow, the itinerary of their imagery.
So the market brand is driving the look at that particular.
Correct. However, if it's a more personal branding shoot, I definitely want them to shine more. And each time, if you look at an image, I want the connection of the viewer to be drawn to the subject more and not get so much distracted of what they're wearing. So that's why I always say texture, it's important. So not prints, don't wear prints, but texture. So for example, if you have sequins or like a full leather top or, dress or your skirt, think about the texture more than the prints. And that will it's color psychology plays a huge, huge role how we are portrayed online. So that's why even having your headshot or portrait, however you want to call it,
right,
it's very important how people perceive you on the online. So again, if you are using fun, bright colors, neon, you're gonna draw in a more maybe younger crowd or people who are actually more expressive and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm scrolling and I see Betty in neon green top. Oh, who she is.
Yeah.
People are gonna be drawn more to the colors, and colors give us different emotions.
Yeah.
So if you stick with black and white, it's classy, confident. And then you see maybe red. So it's like passionate.
I know. And that's a very good point that you make, because anytime that I wear red on Instagram, I get more views. Red seems to be the big one. The red, and the other one is black leather.
Black leather. Let's see.
Leather. Yeah, black leather. I have a black leather reel that got 150,000 views in 2 days. And it wasn't even a real.
And why? Because you look chic, stylish, put together, and it doesn't take much.
And I didn't do anything. I just went like this. I twisted back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
Boom. 120,000 videos. And then there's views. Some of them, I'll go into this big dramatic production and, it'll get like 1,000 views or something like that. So it's interesting that you say that.
Yeah, I have to back up because you said no prints. And me, being a print girl, I am normally the one in prints. I mean, it's Teddy.
I'm in the print.
Yeah, you were in the print.
Which is fair.
No, why? Why for online personal brand? You're like, it's about texture, not about print.
Correct.
Why is
because your eyes are going to be drawn first automatically without thinking to the print. And then you will look at the face. But you want people to look at your face first and then be like, oh,
that makes sense.
That is the psychology behind the colors that
your eye is drawn.
It's very subconscious.
Color, but you can only look at color for so long. So you'll flip up to the face. Whereas the print, you might try to figure out what the print is. Is it paisley? Is it whatever?
Yeah.
So you might.
And then they will make an eye contact with the person. Yeah. So they're like, oh.
Right.
So in person, this is normally okay. But in social, you're saying people's, I know
these are 7-second reel.
Right. People's attention span is so short.
Yes.
Like, please, my eyes are up here. That's what you're being
correct. Yes.
Oh, that's so wild. I would have never thought about that, even though I understand that eyes are to draw attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People don't think about that. But again, if you want to stand out against, a very saturated market, doesn't matter if you're a real estate agent or entrepreneur or, any business owner, and you want to be more seen in the media and be looked as different, right? You don't want to blend in again with the crowd. You want to stand up.
Oh, yeah.
You want people to be like, oh, who she is.
There's so much competition now. I mean, there's, billions of pictures being generated a day. to be able to grab a number of people's attention is very hard, especially on a daily basis,
Yes.
which even before our podcast, I was posting probably 5 out of 7 days a week. So to hold people's attention every single day is really hard, because you got to come up with new outfits. You, like you said, you don't want something that's too distracting, but you want something that's going to catch their attention, especially if you're a fashion influencer. You want them to pay attention to your fashion. But in order to follow you, they need to like you as a person first.
Oh, yeah.
So that's very important.
Because it's going to reflect your personality, right?
Right.
They will see fun, bright colors. They're like, oh my gosh, she's so fun. She's so relatable.
Right.
If she's wearing a soft faux leather, right? Like, ooh, she's so classy. She's so confident. I want to be that.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. So that's what people try to grab. I mean, it doesn't work 100% of the time. Sometimes
it does work.
Sometimes they take. Well, another one. This is interesting. Another recent one that I had. This one I think has 28,000 views on it within a few days, and it was a very soft pink dress. Now it was a print, but it wasn't a small detailed print. It was more like a blur, like a blur print.
Was it painting?
Almost like a
Okay,
and that also attracted a lot of attention really quickly. So I think you're right about the color because it was a beautiful, very soft pink with just a little bit of white smushed in there, like grabbed the attention right away. And then I'll put on outfits that I think are great. And it's like 5 people. I don't have 5 people, but for me, low is 1,000 people will look at it. Yeah, whoa. I thought that one was going to get a lot more.
But see, if you would do personal branding shoot with me, you said each time you wear red, you get a lot of
red is a big one.
So I would say, Hetty, make sure you bring red. We'll have a lot of options for you, but this is your color.
Yeah.
And again, listen to the audience, right? To your people that give you compliments.
Right.
Even though sometimes you could not see yourself in that way, but you're like, oh, okay, maybe there's something to it.
Right. It is hard to be objective with yourself, because we all have our own quirks. That being said, I know that you're from Poland.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that you're Polish? How long were you in Poland? First of all, how long did you live in Poland?
Born and raised.
So, but you came here when?
As an adult. No, in high school.
In high school.
Yeah.
So your whole developmental time frame was spent in Poland.
Mm-hmm.
So could you tell us how your Polish background has influenced your own personal fashion aesthetic?
Absolutely. So honestly, in Europe, even if you want to go to a grocery store, you cannot go in sweats. Okay.
You are blending two of my questions right now, because the other question I was going to ask Bella, but she's blending them. She's reading my mind. Bella, my next question was going to be, what's the difference in the way Europeans dress as compared to the U.S.? So you're blending that question, which is fine. So go ahead. So you said you can't even go to the grocery store in sweats. I love it. I'm moving to Poland. Okay, go.
So it definitely my personal style and my fashion sense. It definitely became a huge identity for me of how I grew up, what I've seen. Again, you cannot wear sweats to a grocery store. I'm sure things have changed, people's mentality. But it's just, I don't know if it's people are judgmental, but people just want to be seen in the best light, especially women. They
want to represent themselves well in public.
Yes, we take a huge pride of taking care of our own self, not only on the exterior, but interior. So we dress up, even wear high heels. To church, as you said, or any gathering. We want to be seen. We want to be celebrated. Life should be all about celebration.
I love this, Susan.
This is great.
We're kindred spirits. This is what I've been wanting to hear. I'm so tired of hearing people say, we have such busy lives. We can't dress. We're too tired. And here we have a woman who's very busy, professional woman who seems to think that this is a priority. That's so refreshing.
Also, I think the U.S. mentality is if you're not busy, you're not productive. Therefore, you're not worth anything. Therefore, going to the grocery store in your athleisure wear says you're about to go do something else or just came from something else. Therefore, you have like a valid reason for existing. which is like,
it's that deep.
I do.
Think it is.
I do.
You really?
Because I think that, I wasn't born in Europe, but my father was in the army. So I grew up in
Germany. Yeah.
in Germany and France. And I spent some time in Spain recently. I spent a month in Spain. And the world is just slower, more relaxed, and they have more leisure time, more time to just like think about things instead of running back and forth. So it's a much different culture than here, where it is a culture of productivity.
Yeah. Well, and it always has been.
The lifestyle is so very busy. Yeah. It's all about hustle bustle from one place to another, right? You can go to the gym, to Pilates, and then right away you have a meeting. So it's very fast paced.
Yeah.
And as you said, in Europe, people do celebrate those moments. People they take time to enjoy their lunch. Like in Italy, they close down banks at 1 p.m.
Right. Yes.
The world slows down and you're like, okay, it's a human connection that it's missing here. Everybody is just so hustle bustle and thinking about their own goals, but they're not thinking about connection with another human being. And that's what's missing.
And that's what I love that you just said that, because, we hear so much we're interviewing people from all spectrums of the fashion world. And many people, their response is, we're all so busy. We're going from thing to thing. We're just checking off another box, that kind of thing. But what we're hoping, to communicate through this podcast is that really there's more to life than just constantly checking off boxes. And part of fixing yourself, it shouldn't be a chore. It should be, like you said, Bella, celebrating yourself, celebrating the moment you're in. Your husband says to you, I want to take you out for our anniversary dinner. Are you going to just, throw on a pair of black pants and a white shirt and go out? Or are you going to think about maybe, let me wear that dress that I am.
You want to look out.
Put it on. I put on a pair of shoes, whether you're comfortable in heels or whatever. But it doesn't have to be a Yves Saint Laurent outfit. You could buy it at Zara and look just as chic, as long as it's well put together. Absolutely. And to celebrate what you're doing and to take a moment to say, this is a special moment. I want to look like the moment and be special. Because if everything blends together, if you're constantly in your athleisure wear, then what defines special anymore?
Great. That's what I was going to ask. So what are we like? Okay, why do we dress for dinner anymore? Really interesting topic. You were talking about coming from high school to here and seeing that life was very different. But then it's like, how do you define what's worth celebrating? I mean, going to the grocery store as an American, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to the grocery store. Yeah, big deal. Is that worth celebrating? I mean, your anniversary. And I feel like that's a celebratory moment. You're definitely going to get dressed up for it. So like, what's that medium step?
You're dating.
You know what's missing? What? People don't celebrate themselves anymore.
That's a terrific.
They don't pause and be like, wow, I've been through my life through ups and downs. I should celebrate those chapters. And people don't do that anymore. They don't pause and be like, actually, you know what? I love myself. People don't.
I deserve to look good.
Well, because we do it with, I deserve a little treat. And I'm going to go in my sweats to Starbucks.
Yeah. And that's completely fine.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. When you put that dress, when you put the outfit that like makes you feel good and empowerment, right? Like confident, your whole body posture changes, your confidence, your voice, the way you show up in the world changes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then it blends into and reflects into so many different parts of your life. Relationship, as you mentioned.
Yes.
Career, and the way you communicate with your coworkers. So how you treat people changes too.
So you really
Because you're starting to love yourself.
right. So, dressing up, because it changes the way you feel about yourself. It's really dressing up as a celebration of self,
Yes.
right? It's an adorning yourself. Like, I deserve to put up to this. Right.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. And I heard you say something earlier about it being a communication, which I loved because you talked about the photographer and the subject, model, having that conversation as well.
Yeah.
And just thinking about the optics of when you walk out into the world, everyone is kind of taking that snapshot of you,
Yes.
and you are the subject.
And how you perceived. Yeah.
Yes, how you're perceived. So that is also a communication. And I just wanted to
Yeah. And I think that's a good point. You are the subject of those little snapshots that people are taking of you in their brains, And so, let's go back to the grocery store, example where Bella said, oh, in Poland, you would never go with your sweats on to the grocery store.
Right.
Nobody's saying that, you need to put on a ball gown to go to the grocery store. But for example, I'll go to the grocery store once or twice a month, to get everything I need. I will put together a cute, casual outfit. I will, if I don't feel like doing my hair, setting my hair for the day or whatever, I'll put it up in a cute bun. I'll maybe have a cute little pair of hoop earrings on. I'll have my top coordinated with my jeans fit properly. I'll have a cute pair of flats on because I'm not going to be, prancing around in heels at the grocery store. But even
to get stuff off the top shelf, Teddy.
Yes, I go run upstairs. How did you know that? Are you filming me? If I have to come downstairs for a glass of water, I take off my pajamas and I put on a cute pair of capris and a little t-shirt and heels. And I prance and red lipstick and I prance on here and I get my glass of water.
And it's a moment.
And if you think I'm lying, I'm not. No, I just can't. But it's the truth. It's not so much what you're wearing. It's just being thoughtful to put something together that makes you look nice. You don't have to look like you're posing for the cover of Vogue magazine everywhere you go.
Listen,
but you should look great. You should look groomed. You should look,
when you feel good, you look good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the whole psychology of fashion, isn't it? When you feel like you really look good in what you're wearing, you own it.
Mm-hmm.
And people can see that. People will often say, well, you know why your dress or your outfit looks so special? Because you look like you own that look.
Exactly.
You walk in with confidence. Somebody else could be wearing...
Posture changes right away.
Yeah, somebody else could be wearing the same outfit and feel self-conscious in it. And they walk in the room, kind of hesitatingly, and nobody's really paying attention to it. You walk into the room and you really feel like, whoa, I got this. Boom, boom, boom. People are noticing you left and right.
Yeah.
And it's all about the way you perceive yourself is going to be the way others perceive.
Exactly.
You.
So that's why people take that moment in Europe, not only dress good, but they take care of their skincare, right?
It's the whole picture.
You don't need a whole glam face.
It's the picture. It's taking care of your skin, taking care of your hair, making sure that you're groomed. When you dress, it's not just putting the clothes on. It's the accessories, it's the hair, it's the makeup, it's the whole look.
And you never know who you're going to run into, right?
That's what my mother used to say all the time. My mother would always say, if you go out of the house and you look dumpy, you are going to run into the one person you didn't want to see. And you want to know something?
And they got you.
She was right about that. It happened to me one time. I slid out of the house, my hair was half hanging and I wanted to just get something hopped in the car. Who did I see? A neighbor that I hadn't seen for like 10 years, and I'm thinking to myself, well, she must have thought I downhill. She thought I slid down, but I mean, it's the truth.
Yeah.
You will see the one person that you don't want to run into when you're just, slapping something on.
Exactly. When you show up to the world, just be ready, right? You never know who you're going to run into.
Absolutely.
Being ready.
So this brings me to the next question. Is there somebody that you looked up to, whether it was as a celebrity or anybody that you would say was your kind of fashion inspiration, your fashion icon? Was there anybody in your life, or maybe several people, who you kind of looked to and admired and said, that's how I want to represent myself to the world? We all kind of are influenced by each other's looks, the way we dress, that kind of thing. So, there's usually a myriad of people that influence ultimately what our own style is. But I find that a lot of people do have one or two people that they really admire and were kind of the the inspiration for the way they've, grown their own style. Do you have a person or persons in your life that you look to as some kind of fashion influence, fashion icon?
I think ultimately every woman that I came across throughout my life has been an inspiration and an icon. Not just the way that they're dressed, but again, the way they carry themselves and how they treat others, right? But if I would have to choose an icon, I think I would have to choose a Coco Chanel, even though maybe it's so kitschy, but honestly, she made a huge revolution.
She did.
About the way the women feel comfortable in their clothing. Because comfort is so important, right? So she changed the whole dynamic of looking chic, beautiful, elegant, and comfortable.
Absolutely. And that is a perfect example of a woman who took what was then considered very casual dress for a woman. I mean, she was the first woman, I think, to use, what's the fabric I'm trying to think of?
Wool?
What?
Wool jackets?
No, it wasn't wool. It was an industrial material that they used in the war, and she started using it. Oh my gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Not nylon, not hate that when I forget words. I'll think of it in a minute. Okay. But it was a fabric that was used actually in the military, and because it was so prevalent, it was very inexpensive. She did have a sewing background. She was a seamstress, so she knew, good design, good,
absolutely.
Tailoring and that kind of thing. But she did make quote unquote casual clothes chic. It wasn't like she made a pair of overalls and a cap. When Coco Chanel made a chic outfit, it was knit. It's a knit. I can't remember the name of the knit, but it's a knit. And she would have the cardigan and the pleated skirt, or she had the little boater hat that she would put on, which were these little hats, little straw hats that they used to sell at one of the biggest department stores in Paris called Galeries Lafayette. And they were called boater hats. And she would take it and she'd fix the brims, in different fabrics and things like that. So she actually made the suntan fashionable. Because before the 1920s, women did not want to tan their skin because it was a look of privilege to have pale skin. It meant you weren't out in the sun working like in the fields, etc. But Coco loved the outdoors so much, and she liked to go boating and all that kind of stuff, that she actually allowed her skin. Now, this wasn't a good thing because we know you're supposed to use sunblock now, but she actually allowed her skin to get tan. And so she kind of created that whole outdoorsy aesthetic, which is very interesting in a time when the dress was much more formal in the 20s and 30s. So I'll think of that material in a minute. It's driving me crazy, but it's a knitwear. It's a knit that was very prevalent in uniforms in the war.
So what was your favorite era of fashion then? If Coco Chanel is your inspiration, is that her design time or is it something else?
It's completely something different. And I think that is just maybe like the romantic part of me. I love like late 1700s.
The late 1700s?
Yeah, tell me why. I don't know. I think the historic dressing and the historic, the history of how women used to dress.
Now so those who aren't real familiar with 17th century dressing, what was the look of the day, would you say, for women? Like, what would an average dress construction look like?
There was a lot of layers, that's for sure. Yeah, corset. A lot of pleated skirts, and not just one. They had nightgowns underneath that protect their skin from the boning of the corsets. So that was really clever. Again, I know some people have a different feelings about the corset, that women were actually put because, men like that look, and even though it was not healthy, and
it would crush their rib cages.
But I just thought they looked so elegant and so
Romantic.
yeah. I just think it's just the honestly, yes, it's the look, but it's also the fabric that was used back in the day. It's not anymore, it was very expensive, number one.
It was handmade.
Silks, different, what I'm looking for. What's the name?
Brocade.
Laces. There you go. Lace. Like the history of lace. There's so many options on how they used to, start the process of creating such a fabric. Like I love digging deeper, not just on how women used to look, but the history of how fabrics in the textile industry started,
There was so much more story to everything you put on that today when it's made by a machine.
Yes. And it lasted for decades. Like those, right.
Right. It wasn't like they were buying a dress a week or something.
Yeah, those outfits are still in like museums.
Yes.
And they're not going to disintegrate because they were used by breathable fabrics that Mother Earth created. Yeah, natural. Right. Cottons and silkworms were, harvested and created beautiful silks. Like it was just, it was labor of love.
Yeah.
So how they were constructed.
So you have an appreciation for not only the romantic look of that period, but also just all the construction and the master seamstress kind of tailoring that it took to make one of those out.
Yes,
so it wasn't like you could whip one up in a day or something like that. That it probably took maybe a month to create a dress like that.
Can you imagine wearing that many layers now every day?
Yeah, no. No, I would melt like a pool of sweat.
That's why they had their servants or helpers,
Yes, you actually had somebody helping you. Because, there was no buttons. Everything was laced up the back.
It has hooks.
Yeah.
So it was definitely...
you couldn't do that yourself.
You will show, what do you wear? It was showing your status in the society,
Yeah. And we still do some of that.
Yes.
Still have that.
Yeah.
Right? What you wear does show your status.
Yeah.
It does, but sometimes, that could blend in. You don't know. Right. People who are very wealthy, they don't dress.
You're exactly right.
They don't put labels. They dress casual. They care about comfort. And
so I read that, people who don't wear labels, still they get things custom made.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not so out there.
Right. The mark of being wealthy is to have things that are custom made to you.
Tailored. Bespoke.
A custom tailored pair of shoes.
Mm-hmm.
It is like, my dream. Of course, it wants something that is made
just for you.
Yeah. And what do they care about? Is the fabric.
Yeah, and the quality.
The quality. So again,
comfort. Yep. So it's much more about quality. So it is very similar to the 1700s, this part that you are enamored with, like that history and the care that goes into it.
Yeah, exactly. So it definitely shows the public, like what do you wear? Yeah.
So that brings us to our last question, Bella. And it's one that we ask almost every guest. Why do you think, and I know you talked about in Europe, the pace is a lot slower. People appreciate special moments. They get dressed for special moments, etc. But it seems like, at least across the United States, and from what I'm seeing too, even online, in some of the European countries as well, they're starting to mimic, unfortunately, some of the stuff that we do here, including our fast food and all that stuff. Why do you think that we've become more of a casually dressed society? It seems like, there was a time when if you were going out to dinner, you went and you got dressed to go to dinner. It didn't mean that you had to put on a sequin dress. It just meant you put on something a little bit more special than you would if you were going to work. Absolutely. Or if you were at home or whatever. Nowadays, it seems like you can go, no matter where you go to eat, many of the people that are surrounding you in the restaurant or in the theater or in the opera, places that were almost mandated that you got dressed up for, I've been to the opera where I see people are wearing blue jeans and have backpacks they're carrying with them.
Wow.
I have also seen.
Yeah. So, it almost looks like
That's bizarre. Like they don't fit.
yeah, it looks like, like a day at the museum or something,
Yeah.
And so why, in your opinion, why do you think that we become a society that really seems to just want comfort 24/7 as opposed to, and I'm not saying you have to wear something horrifically uncomfortable to look good, but why do you think it is that we've moved away from making our looks special for certain occasions? Why is we've gotten kind of, I think, at least in my opinion, we've become this kind of generic dressing society where whatever you wear all day long, you wear all day long. There's no going home and changing. There's no, maybe if you're going after work somewhere special. I remember there used to be tips in fashion magazines when we actually had the actual magazine in front of us, where there'd be work to dinner looks, where you
Day to night.
Yeah, day to night, where you'd put the jacket on over a cute sheath dress or something like that. You have maybe a little bit lower shoes on at work. You'd bring a pair of heels with you, take off the jacket, put on a necklace and bigger earrings, and you were kind of dressed for dinner. Mm-hmm. There's not even that anymore now. It's just, whatever I have on my back, that's what I'm wearing at 6:00 at night to go to dinner. Do you have an opinion about that? Do you think there was any particular reason why that's happening to us?
I think maybe women or as little girls, they're not taught or they don't see that, right? Because we mimic what we see throughout our life. So if you see your mom or your grandma, your aunt, that they don't celebrate, they don't dress up, you're going to mimic kind of the same behavior, or you would not even know how to put yourself together. Or you can wear just a simple black dress and actually maybe focus more on accessories, and you can still look really put together. So that could be one reason, right? That women just don't know how.
Right.
And that's why there's stylists that have jobs and actually can't teach women how to dress.
How to put something together.
Correct.
Yeah.
Another part is comfort, 100%. I feel like, Americans do celebrate comfort. And it's important. Honestly, moving from Europe here, it was almost as a huge, lift came from my shoulder, because it was like, oh my gosh,
I could just slip on a t-shirt and jeans and go.
Exactly. I don't have to spend that much time if I don't have that time.
Mm-hmm.
So people are so segregated here and put more into different groups that people in the grocery store are not going to judge you, and you wouldn't care, right, about their opinions.
Right.
So again, it's all about feeling a little separated.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Well, she's bringing connection back up, right? If there isn't a connection, you're feeling a little bit more separated.
Yeah.
But then you were like, oh, actually, it was a relief to come into something so relaxed.
Yeah.
But then here we are. We're like, we don't want to be that relaxed.
There has to be a balance.
Exactly. There has to be a balance. Yeah. And what you said really rang a bell in my head when you said, well, we go to the grocery store. We don't care what anybody thinks about us, and they don't care what we think about them. That statement in and of itself, I think, is huge.
Yeah.
We just don't care about each other anymore. You know what I mean? Not personally, like if somebody drops dead in front of you, I'm sure you're going to try to help them or care about them. But we don't treat the world as our community. Even when we live like in a suburb like I do, my husband runs into the same people all the time when he runs back and forth to do little errands in our local grocery store and that kind of thing. But there's not that connection like there used to be. Mm-hmm. Because when you have a connection with somebody, then you care more what they think about you. You care more about yourself too. And you care more about yourself. If you don't have that connection, if everything seems so siloed, if everything seems like you're just moving in a world by yourself with people around as a distraction more than anything else, then you're not going to feel a connection, and you're not going to feel like you care how they think about you. They don't care about you. It's almost like you're walking into a dream, where you're going into the store and everybody buzzing around you almost really doesn't even exist.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of scary.
You're in a game.
Yeah, it's like you're in a video game almost. Like, okay, I bumped into this person or, ran into the...
It's not conscious behavior. It's just like you're driving. You don't think about it.
Right.
Or your body breathing. You don't think about it. It's automatic. And it just happens.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's almost a lack of introspection, right? It's a lack of, you can't think about yourself without really relating to something else for comparison.
Right.
So if you're not thinking about how you're doing, you're not thinking about how you're doing in comparison to someone else at the grocery store. You're not comparing because you're not connecting. You're not thinking about relationship.
Right.
Yes.
So there's like this lack of relationship.
Right.
This lack of looking into yourself to figure out what your relationship to the world outside of you is.
Well, and here's the thing. If none of us care about how any of us look, and that's fine because nobody cares, so I don't have to care either. But let me tell you, people appreciate when you dress. And I'll just give you a couple examples. I'll go to this grocery store with my husband. And like I told you, ladies, I'm not wearing, ball gown. I just have, put together, but I'm wearing a casual. I cannot tell you how many times I go to the grocery store and the cashier will say to me, I have to tell you something, but you just look so beautiful. You look so wonderful. You always look so put together. Why would she make that comment? You know why? Because she's doing what we all just shrug off as a menial job. She's scanning, things through a thing and she's ringing up the register. But somebody showed up to her place of work looking like it mattered.
You caught her attention, right?
Not only did I catch her attention, but I think in some ways they feel like you've shown a level of respect for them.
You know what? For yourself.
Well, and for myself and for them. Because people think I'm working in a place where she felt she needed to at least look presentable. She didn't come like she was just cleaning out her basement. She took time when she's coming to my establishment to look halfway decent.
Like if you invite your friends out and your friends are wearing their yoga things, you're like, oh, you really don't care.
Yeah.
Like what? And that's not fair, but that's what it feels like. You showed up like a schlub to my event.
Right.
And so what you're saying is
it's a show of respect.
It's a show of respect. It's you created a relationship just by being dressed.
Right.
And respecting that when you showed up to her place of work, you are going to look like
like I was just digging in the basement. As an afterthought, I'm coming to your store to pick up a few things.
But it's no big thing.
And it's no big thing.
And it's also really amazing that she didn't withhold that compliment.
No.
Right. That she expressed.
No.
Because I feel like our society, or perhaps with women, it depending on their own inner work.
Yeah.
Sometimes, they will think, oh my God, she looks amazing, but they're not going to share that with you.
Yeah.
Right. I think don't be short on giving compliments.
Right.
Because
exactly.
Yeah.
Number one, it certainly, it acknowledges the person's time and effort that they took to get dressed. It acknowledges that they feel in some way that you felt going to their establishment deserved some level of respect.
Yeah.
Just another example, I have a very good friend who's Chinese, and she had come to my house for the first time, and I was wearing, just some leggings and a cute little leopard top kind of a thing or whatever, and just a little bit of heels, because she's another tall. I have all these tall friends. I don't know what this is about. It must be my yearning to be tall, but everybody is. But anyway, and she came to my home and she says to me, oh, you dressed up for me. Oh, and do you always dress like this in the house? And I said, oh, of course, I'm wearing my pajamas if I'm, cleaning the house or something like that. And she says, so you dress for respect for me. And I thought,
you're showing love.
Yes.
Right?
She says, oh, you dress for respect for me. And I said, that's right, I did. Because she felt that, oh, she's just not wearing blue jeans and a t-shirt to serve me dinner. She actually put on
took time.
Outfit.
It took time.
Because I'm special enough that Teddy wanted to look good for me. So it's not just a vanity thing. I don't want people to take away from this podcast that this is just a vanity thing. People start wearing dress, and making judgments on people. The psychology of dressing really encompasses respect for yourself, like you said, Bella,
100%.
respect for other people that you're engaging with, acknowledging other people in the world.
It's a self-care.
It's self-care.
And it sounds like it's a community care, honestly.
And it really is. Because it reflects, right, how we connect with each other in the world, how we show up.
If everybody looks like they're depressed, aren't you going to be feeling kind of depressed? If everybody looks like they're celebrating and having a great time and they're all dressed, it's going to lift your spirits too.
Yeah, even if you have a bad day and you see somebody, you're like, wow, you made my day, right?
You inspired me. I have to get more perked up too.
Exactly.
So it really is a psychological lift for yourself. It's not
It's
just,
contagious, right?
it's contagious. Yes.
So that's the name of this podcast. This one's going to be Fashion is Contagious.
Fashion is,
Oh, I love that.
The perfect title for our podcast. Fashion is considered. And so are you, Bella. You're a lovely guest. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us your expertise, your thoughts on beauty, your thoughts on fashion. I'd certainly love to have you take some promo pictures of me. I'm sure I would look fabulous.
Absolutely. I would love to.
So
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Bella.
And in case I didn't tell you, well, you look
You look you look marvelous, darling.
mighty today.
With the kitty cat glasses.
Yes, that's her signature.
And this is how it's your personality.
Yeah.
So it reflects on how
It
you
does.
are being seen in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's her signature. Are those new glasses and her jewelry are her signature. Yeah. Various glasses. Because she's got many different colors.
Yeah. And see, you were talking about personal style.
Mm-hmm.
The
She's definitely got a look.
Yeah.
Yes.
The way we dress up, we do have
Right.
some type of theme going on. Right.
Exactly. So thank you so much, Bella, for this wonderful episode of Why Don't We Get Dressed for Dinner Anymore? Can you tell me that? Why don't we get dressed for dinner anymore, Bella?